Today we have a very interesting single malt Irish whiskey from a distillery you've probably never heard of, because this is actually their first single malt Irish whiskey, and it's going to be one that's gonna blow your mind a little bit. It really surprised me. This is from Dingle Distillery, and it's the first whiskey they've ever made. Now, there's no age statement on the bottle, but since it says here they were made in 2012, and when I received this bottle, it was about 8.5 years after, so I can only assume that it's between 8 years or younger old. But since it's been triple distilled, it doesn't really matter how old the whiskey actually is, because once you triple distill something, you end up with the lighter notes from the alcohol. So it's 46.3% ABV, and it's also not chill filtered, so this color is completely natural. Let's take a look at it in a tasting glass. I'll probably talk to you about the bottle design afterwards though, because it's a very nice looking bottle. So if we take a look at the color of this whiskey, you can see it's a lovely sort of dark amber golden sort of tint to it, which is very pretty to look at. But now let's go for the smell test and then we'll have a taste. So it has some real dark fruity sort of aroma going on, akin to raisins and even juicy pears and apples, and a little sort of subtle citrusy sort of aroma to it as well. It really hits you though with those fruity undertones, especially with that dark fruit and sweetness that's coming through on the nose here. I've had it before. I'm doing this tasting video. I've been enjoying it now and again, and it's just such a unique whiskey, because it's not what you expect from a triple distilled Irish whiskey. You get these real punch of sort of fruitiness initially with this red fruit with the sultanas and raisins coming through, and then there's this apple pie kind of effect where, to describe it to you, it's kind of like if you eat an apple pie, you get this real fruity apple taste, obviously, but then when the apples are cooked, they kind of give this sort of sharpness to them, a kind of tart sort of sharpness that comes through in a citrusy sort of way. If you imagine like this really sweet sort of honey taste, but then you've got like a sharp apple taste with it, so it kind of, it's almost like, you know, when you have like a caramel chocolate and then you have salt as well, and the salt brings out the sweetness. It's kind of like that effect, but in a whiskey, which is a really weird way to describe it. I hope that makes sense. It just works so well. It's so well rounded, and I just think it's honestly one of my favorite whiskeys now. I really enjoy it. It's up there as one of my favorite Irish whiskies now, and the price range is between, I think, £40 and £50. I'm just absolutely blown away and impressed by it, to be honest. I didn't know Irish whiskey could taste like this, and I think part of the way it tastes like this is if I take a look on their website. So on Dingle's website, it actually explains that the whiskey's been aged in ex-bourbon casks and PX sherry casks. 39% in bourbon and 61% of the aging is done in the sherry cask. Now PX sherry is actually a wine that is not fully fermented before it's taken out of the casks. So you kind of, that's probably where that sharpness is coming from. That fruitiness is coming through in the sherry, but that sort of unfermented sharpness probably comes through in that PX sherry, which is what's giving it that unique flavor. I actually really like it, especially here. It's just so well balanced that it makes it a very interesting whiskey tasting experience. Also, a very nice bottle design here. It's in Ireland, and they've actually got lots of little pieces of information really nicely displayed on the bottle. Like, Dingle Single Malt Whiskey is cut by hand using the purest water down from our own well, right below the distillery, 240 feet deep. And then it's actually got like a measuring thing here that goes up to 240 feet. And then this is obviously like where the distillery is, with the sea level behind it here. This kind of looks like the Burning Man, but I don't know what that's a reference to. It's just a really nice bottle, and it's very, very thick. This top bit reminds me of a pot still, and they've got like a nice golden label here and a nice wooden corked top there. But yeah, it's a really small distillery, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. And if you guys enjoy these kind of whiskey reviews, I know it's been a long time since I've uploaded one on the channel, so sorry about that. But if you want to stay subscribed, you know, I'll be updating them every time I find something unique and interesting that I want to share with you guys. I've got a long list to get through already, but if you've got anything that you have liked yourself and you want me to try, then by all means leave it in the comment section below, and I'll hopefully one day get round to testing them out. This is really a hobby channel for me, and I do it as and when I have time, but it's something I really enjoy, sharing my passion and sort of learning journey with you guys, and also learning back from you guys of anything that you found that you've enjoyed. So keep an eye on this distillery, because honestly the stuff they're making is really interesting and seems to be unique and out there. They seem to be breaking the mold a bit in that sense. Like, this is not something traditional that I'd expect, and it surprised me for an Irish whiskey for sure. I thought all Irish whiskies were quite similar and simple and very light and smooth, but this one's really broken that mold for me, and that's exciting. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.